Hi, this is Sue Greenwald with Awakened Stories. I'm here today with Deanna Carr with the Mystical Moonlight. Hey, Deanna, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Today's surprise topic is Ben Franklin, one of the U.S.'s founding fathers. Heard some rumors uh, in the past few years. I don't think it's going to be good.
Not.
All right. I've read a lot of Ben Franklin biographies, and I always admired him way back when. He basically organized fire stations, libraries, the post office. He supposedly invented the bifocal glasses and all sorts of other inventions and improvements in how our society was structured. And then, of course, he's famous for having a fascination with electricity. And we were shown pictures of him with a kite with a key on it, to draw the lightning. Is Are those inventions that I just mentioned, like in organizations, the post office, the fire station, the libraries, are those really his inventions or his ideas?
No.
Dang it. Okay. So was he just really well connected and would steal others' ideas, or did they just already have that organization and credit him?
He did steal the information from other people.
Dirty dog. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So every
And
one
he
of
had the connection.
what's
So
that?
he had the connection to do it.
All right. So basically he stole every one of the ideas I just mentioned, the glasses.
Hmm.
Okay. I think, I think I remember he did the fire hydrants and the fire station. What about the kite with the key and discovering electricity? Was that a true
He did
story?
not discover it. No, no.
Ah,
He took everything, every invention he created, all systems were somebody else's invention.
okay. Right.
He just took credit for it and he was able to get away with it because one, they were either silenced, or two, the system didn't want them to know who actually invented it.
Interesting. Okay.
Mhm.
So I find it odd. There's so many things about the story when you think about it that just seem a little off now that I know what I
Mhm.
know. But okay, so he was a printer, okay? So he had access to like had access to the newspapers, the books, all of the printed materials. So again, you control information, you get to control people, right?
Of
So
course, that's how it always works.
so how did he get these ideas to steal them? Like how, like just in his business travels or like how did that work?
People would talk about and like the idea,
Yeah.
or they would say, "Huh, this would be a little bit easier if we had this," and he actually found people that were actually inventing it. The problem is when you are poor, you don't have
The
a way
reason.
to actually create stuff. You don't have the supplies, especially when we're talking about larger systems.
Yeah.
You need financial funding. So he went on as a financial funder. The problem is a lot of people that are poor don't really look into what is going to be taken. They don't look into what the contract says, and that still happens today. Um, they just see, hey, I'm going to get the support and help I need, but
Yeah.
they don't see how much the person's actually going to be taking from them. That's why it's
Um,
always good to read the fine print. So part of it in the contract was they would make the product and he would get full credit for it. And
wow.
then the one thing they didn't see is that since he would take full credit for it, he would get most of the profit from it. So some of it people wouldn't get paid at all. Some of it was like if they made $1, they would get 10 cents and he would get 90 cents.
Okay. Wow. And I forgot to add one other important invention was the potbelly stove, right? We call it the Franklin stove, right?
Hmm.
So he didn't even invent any of those things.
No.
Whoa. Okay. Well, that's so interesting. So he didn't create any inventions himself ever.
No. Nope. None.
Wow. And look at how much admiration we give him now.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. So he owned newspapers and I think he even printed currency, you
Yeah.
know. So again, power when you have the ability to influence the population. And I
Mhm.
think he even ran a post office at one point. I don't actually remember the entire story. But okay. So he had control of a lot of the inventions and the secrets, and he had money. So he was a really good person to steal, like again, stealing the ideas of others, which is a common theme in what we're uncovering. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, just going about some key points. Franklin was the only, we'll call him founding father that signed four of the key documents. The big one is Declaration of Independence. So,
Mhm.
did he sign that?
He did.
Okay. Okay. Anything around that that we need to know?
Well, it kind of goes back into having the power. I
Yeah.
mean, the people that signed the Declaration were the ones that had the power.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Um, so although it's not really, being followed nowadays, but that was a really big sign
Yeah.
that you had power in the system. Um, there were there's actually two declarations of independence. That one that we're talking about is actually the second one.
What? What? Okay.
There's a different original
Uh,
Declaration of Independence that's been destroyed. The original was founded by a different section of members. This new Declaration of Independence was signed by the people we know. Um, the original one had mostly, a mix of cultures, a mix of races, and it was more for the people. The one that we know is all signed by white guys that were wealthy, that had say in how they wanted the country to be run. So the original one is the one that we truly desire because that one is the one that everybody was supposed to be included. Nobody was supposed to be enslaved. No, like everything that started our crazy culture wasn't even supposed to happen.
okay. My mind has been blown up even more. Okay. So, question. We're told that our Declaration of Independence was signed in 1776 in Philadelphia area by these founding fathers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're told the year was 1776. I have a belief system that the years have been screwed up. That our years have been distorted, and that's not true. So we think it was a couple 300 years ago. Um, again, all right, when was this original or first Declaration of Independence signed? About when or how much earlier than 1776?
I'm going to say at least 400 years before the second one was signed. It was a while.
Okay. Now, was
The
it,
timeline has been disrupted.
say it again?
The timeline that we are told has been disrupted.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't
Mhm.
believe any of the dates are true.
Yeah.
And I know we've had the Great Reset that screwed us up in history. So we know that all of that's not right. So to use a date isn't going to be accurate anyway, but
No.
it kind of gives us a feel for the order. So you're going to say the original Declaration of Independence was signed 400 years prior to 1776? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it signed in what we would call America right now?
No, this one this one would not be considered in this area.
Mhm.
Um, where specifically was it signed? This one's interesting. So it's actually showing this was will this be considered a declaration? Okay, so this one's bigger than we expected. So a Declaration of Independence, like we think, is just for America in itself. The declaration that was originally signed was not just a declaration of independence for America, it was actually a declaration of independence for each country and continent. Um, Basically saying that like pretty much everything that we do now was not supposed to be happening. It was pretty much a way for people to travel freely, to be able to go between countries and cultures without needing everything that we need now. Um, it was a way for people to explore without needing the passports, without needing the visas and all that. It was a way for cultures to discover each other and for a more free range. Then the independence in itself was supposed to be for each culture and each continent. They would follow specific kind of guidelines on how they were supposed to. So this was more of an international independence.
Okay. Now, when this was signed, the original one, was there anyone or anything they were breaking free of? Like, was there any oppressors that they were trying to break free of? And if
Yes.
okay, and who was that?
Okay, so I don't know what you want to call them, but nowadays we would call them the reptilians. They were actually known as the reptilians in that time. They had a different name from them, but people knew who they were being run by. They knew that they were being run by a hierarchy that was not human. They were trying to break free because each continent was actually run by um, a crazy hierarchy. And you can even look at it in some of the history, that they were running stuff, a lot of devastation, a lot of destruction, a lot of death, violence, and all that. Um, so they decided that they were going to come together and take them out. They did a pretty good job. The problem is they didn't realize how they were already infested.
Yeah.
Um, so they created this independence, and it lasted for a little bit, but they were taken back over, and that's kind of what created this new form of society.
Was that before the Tartarian Great Mud Flood reset?
This was in between.
Ah,
There's a lot of resets. So there was another reset in between that. This one was on actually was it the same time frame? Okay. Was it the same time frame as a Tartarian reset? Okay, actually, yes. Was it right before? Yes. Was it associated with this one specifically? Yes. Was there more than one purpose for the reset? Yes. Okay, so it looks like there's multiple reasons that reset happened. Now there are, like I said, there are multiple resets that have happened.
right. Okay.
This is not the first.
Right. I know that. And
Yeah.
okay, I figured it would be around the time of that reset. So basically, what happened is the population was getting. Now, let me ask one more question. Did the reptilians walk around in their natural form, or were they disguised like they are now?
They were kind of disguised. Like they kind of looked human, but you could see that they were off. Like, and I'm sure people have noticed that today too, is
Yeah.
like you'll notice people that are off
Yeah.
and you're not sure why.
Yeah.
The thing is that what's changed is they've had a better way of creating their outsides, their skins, and they've actually procreated with humans. That's why there's a lot of issues with humans.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So what happened prior to the Great Reset? We had big, beautiful buildings and cities and, natural free electricity and blah, 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 blah. Okay.
Mhm.
People were like starting to develop technology, live in harmony with the earth. Like they didn't use plastic like we did, right? So they Yeah. So anyway, then they knew that they were being controlled. So they all got together and they said, "Hey, we're breaking free. We're all free to roam around the planet. We're all free to do this without hindrance." And then they got freaking buried by mud.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Was this first independence anything like, is there any name that we would recognize that signed it? Nothing. So this is so far away. Do the
Yeah.
original documents still exist here on Earth?
No.
Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, we're off on a tangent, but how interesting is this, right? Okay.
Listen, there's so much that's happened that it's the timelines get very confusing, and that's part of it because
Yeah.
it's hard to trace back.
Yeah. Okay. The real reason I wanted to talk about Ben Franklin, or so I thought, was he had a home in London, and they've dug up the basement, and there's a whole bunch of bones down there. Okay. Well, and I've known about this for like 20 years or whatever, but it's out there. You can Google it right now. So they've explained it away, right? Did Ben Franklin kill those people and his friends and bury them in the basement or whatever?
Yes.
Okay. Was he a cannibal,
Yes.
Satanist, all
Or
around
reptilian.
he was a reptilian?
Hmm.
Oh, maybe we should have led with that. I did not ask that, did I?
No.
Whoa, he was a reptilian.
Hmm.
Okay. So what else can you tell us about him? So he was like a diplomat, right? He'd go between countries, like France was a big one. And it's rumored that he was a spy for France and, collected information like all the famous people did
Hmm.
and used it basically for their own benefit. So
Oh yeah.
did he do that kind of
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah. He used it to benefit himself. He used it for his knowledge. Not everything that he invented was from, America. It wasn't from just people in America. It
Yeah.
was from all around. So he usually it would be people that were poor and people of different races. Because um, even if you look at, all the stuff that has been created in America, that even the doorknob, it was not created by a white person. Everything that we use on a daily basis was created at that time by a slave or somebody of a different ethnicity.
Right. Whoa. Well, we
It was,
know. Go ahead.
yeah, so we know a lot of, like, if you Google it, you can find inventions that we use in every day. But these big inventions that were invented by white people, white men, were not. Most of them, they could barely put their shoes on.
Okay. Wow. Wow. So he went around and he was a double agent. He would collect information, pass it along to his benefit,
Hmm.
chow down on innocent humans, and collect their money.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. And there were two or three other clubs that he had formed. Okay, so we already know the answers to this. He created a club. It was supposed to be for the elites, and again, the rumor is, was it an occult society? Well, clearly, it was a satanic secret society that he was
Yeah.
involved in.
Hmm.
Ooh, okay. Well, we've opened another big old can of worms, right?
Yes, we
So
have.
So Ben Franklin was a reptilian, which is not, I mean, it's not surprising, but that's not where I expected to go today. So
Yeah.
how interesting is that, right?
Yeah.
And definitely a spy. He stole other people's ideas, inventions, and most of those people probably didn't end up well, did they?
No.
Like, what I mean is he probably didn't let them live. Wow.
Yes. Correct.
Wow. Okay. Now, interestingly, he is on a is it the 50 or $100 bill? I don't even know. Okay. He's on one of our dollar bills, our bills, a currency here in the
Yeah.
US. All right.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a president of the US.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just confirming because who knows what the truth is, right?
Yeah, I forget which one he's on, but he was on a dollar bill. Usually
Yeah.
they would put somebody that's really iconic
Yeah.
onto the dollar bills. Usually it was a president that made
Yeah.
some sort of statement.
Yeah.
So for him to be on there was very interesting.
Wow. Okay, so these founding fathers that we all are like, well, they were so wise. They did such great thing with the Declaration of Independence. Were they all in that club, the Satanic
Yeah,
Club? Every one of
yeah,
them?
yeah.
Dirty dogs. Dirty dogs. Okay. I think we're gonna have to talk about that, but
Yeah, I mean, it's an easier time to get away with that kind of stuff too.
yeah,
It's not like there's social media, there's not ways to be recorded. So if people saw something, it was easy done.
yeah. So basically they created their own country, kind of.
Yeah,
Although we had a country here prior. I mean, but they
yeah,
created their government for the country.
yeah. And I mean, it's just gotten worse. So, I
Wow.
mean, it was really a setup to, I don't want to call this destruction, but a way to suck life out of people. And that's why, it's a really, they did, listen, their PR is amazing.
Yeah.
They got these great people, they have this idea that these people are amazing. There's nothing really going against their name. Now, when we look back, we can find stuff, but you know, they created something that's just sucking the life out of people.
Wow.
I mean, this is the only country that really, I'm not saying everywhere, but it does not care about its people.
Right.
And they just use and use, and they set this up to start this type of
Right.
system.
Right. Well, and again, way back when everything traveled slower, news was slower, information was slower to get around. So if an injustice happened, nobody would find out about it, or it would take forever to find out about it. Now we've got video in it and we can find about it within minutes, right?
Yep.
People are becoming educated. So one, I guess, last-ish question. The reptilians have advanced technology. Obviously, they got here, right? They're on Earth.
Yeah.
So they had like cloaking technology and other technologies already. So why don't they just use that and bring out to the people? Or is it because they want the people to live in a primitive fashion?
Primitive. Because you have to think we only know that kind of primitive.
Right.
That is not what's been invented. People that have wealth and have money are living in a whole different type of society. We just don't know about it because we're not there.
Yeah.
So
So,
stuff for us is easy, like stuff for us is, more primitive, even for our phones. This is not the advancement. They just like to release stuff so they can get more money.
yeah, exactly.
Um, but yeah, we live in more primitive. They are more advanced because they have the wealth.
Okay, so let's say way back when I go into Ben Franklin's house. Does he live in the same primitive fashion, although maybe a little nicer, or does he have modern technologies?
You would not see modern technologies if you worked in his house or if you went to his house.
Okay.
That, because you have to think, they still had people, like they had servants, they had people working for them. They would not allow that type of information to get out. So even in wealthy people houses, they will have it hidden, usually in their offices, or some actually have secret rooms.
Yeah. Okay.
They have basements that have this stuff. So you would only be allowed in certain areas. You were only seen what you were supposed to be seen.
Okay.
So yes, they did have advancements, but no, you would not see it.
Okay. All right. Now I had a whole bunch of stuff. I had looked up all these societies and all that. But bottom line is Ben Franklin was bad. The secret societies were bad. They were satanic. They were occult. They were this. They were that, and cannibalism, all this other stuff. So why go through the questions, right? We got the bottom line, right? Anything we should know about Ben Franklin, a Declaration of Independence. I mean, he signed other documents too, but that was the
Mhm.
big one.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Um, Put them in the comments, people. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think, I mean, we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
So of course, if you guys have more questions, put them in. I'm sure this is gonna open up a lot of
Yeah.
worms.
Yeah. The second I log off, about 20 more questions will pop up. That's the way my brain works, but
Of course, that's why we do more than one.
yeah, yeah. Well, I thank you so much for your time, Deanna. I appreciate it. And thank you, people that are watching. And again, put your questions in the comments and I'll collect them for us. Okay? Bye-bye.
Yep.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.